Welcome back to the Giants, guys. Joining us today is one of the most dangerous kick returners in Giants history, two-time Super Bowl champ, Domenik Hixon.
Woo! Guess what? You're listening to another episode of the Giants Guys, right? And you know it's a Giants Guy when Jeff starts doing that funny thing with his hand. Makes me laugh every time. So, listen, you're listening to the Giants Guys. You love us. We love you. I got Spiro in the building. I've got Jeff, the mechanic, in the building. And as promised, because who brings you the best entertainment on the internet when you're a Giants fan? I do. Welcome, Domenik Hixon. How are you, my friend?
Man, tremendous. How you guys doing?
We're good,
Great,
man. We're real good. I told these guys, I said, hey, I've been pounding Domenik Hixon a couple times to come on the show. And he finally said, yeah, let's do it. So we're excited to have you, man. Thanks for hanging out with us for a bit.
Yeah, appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah, man. We're going to talk a whole bunch of stuff, including Super Bowl fishing. But I got to start off with like this crazy story because I'm trying to figure out, you grow up in Ohio. I mean, like, you grow up in Ohio. You're a 4-time letterman. I'm like looking at it. You lettered in football, basketball, track, and baseball. First of all, track and baseball are at the same time. So
How'd you do that? How did you do that?
Yeah, like so that's amazing. How does a kid?
No practice.
Yeah, like do you just go to the games? How do you do it?
So I ended up playing baseball my first 3 years. And then ended up when I committed to football, wanted to get faster, so I ended up running track my senior year. My dad was devastated because baseball is probably my best sport. So
wow,
really?
Dude, what track events did you run?
So I high jumped, ran 100, 200, and 4x1.
Wow, I don't want to
basically your own little combine.
Yeah.
And I mean, it ended up helping out later on in life because learning how to really run and do all that good stuff. I mean, it helped out. So, yeah.
I mean, you were fast for a professional athlete. So, I mean, for high school track, you must have just been like dominating. You must have just been blowing people away. That's it.
No, I mean, I wish I could say yes, but no.
Humble.
I mean, it was one of those deals where leaving out of high school, I mean, I was 6'2", 150 pounds. Probably ran, 11 flat, 10-8 type, 100, nothing crazy. But no, I mean, it was, and I was 17 when I left high school too. So I didn't even turn 18 until I went to college. So I was a young guy, young and small.
All right.
Sounds like Devontae Smith.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, but now he's a whole different breed.
and Spiro, don't jump the shark. We're gonna get into that in a minute. So, all right. So you kill it in high school, right? And you go to go play college ball at Akron. First question I have is, well, one, you won a MAC championship, and they still haven't won one since. If that's correct, right?
Right. Yeah. And yep.
So Chase Blackburn, teammate?
Yeah.
Chase.
And so here goes. And I don't know if you guys know, but in high school, I played against Chase in high school for 2 years.
Wow.
We were in the same conference in Columbus. He went to Marysville. I went to Whitehall. And so I remember his senior year, and don't tell him I told you this, but he dominated us.
When we're done, I'm totally gonna start hitting on Blackbird.
I mean, he absolutely had a monster game against us, and so then when he went to Akron, because I thought he was a Ohio State, Michigan guy, Big Ten, and he ends up going to Akron, and so Akron was my only offer, so I didn't have many choices. But when I saw he went there, I'm like, man, this guy could play, and so I was like, if I'm getting offered by them, it means something. So he was a lot of the reason why I went there.
Wow, that what, and that's cool. Like that's why I was saying, like I'm thinking, like okay, you're in Ohio, you stay in Ohio. Well, that's Chase Blackburn country too. So it turns out not only did you play against each other in high school, but your teammates in college. That's super cool.
Small world, man.
Yeah, and you know what? I didn't even really think about it until I looked it up. I'm like, wait a minute. The only guy I know that ever played at Akron was Blackburn. Listen, I'm sure it's a great school. I don't hear about a lot of guys making it to the show out of Akron. So it's pretty cool that not only did you both make it, but you're both teammates.
Yeah. And we were putting out probably about one guy a year. Jason Taylor, Hall of Famer. He went to Akron.
No big deal.
Oh, wow.
No big deal.
Yeah.
Well, he was a Jet, so we're not allowed to love him, but we can like him.
He's a Finn
we
first.
Like him, and then Dwight Smith, won the Super Bowl with Tampa Bay Bucks, DB.
Yep.
Charlie Fry. I mean, we put out some guys now.
Charlie Fry could sling it. Yeah, I remember that. Yep, that's true.
Oh yeah.
So let's fast forward to all right. So you get drafted. You go to Denver. You come to the Giants. Is that like a culture shock going from Ohio to New York or Denver to New York? Because you seem like a pretty laid back, easygoing dude, and next thing you know, you're like, hey, your agent calls you and says, hey, the Giants are interested, and you go to New York, and it's like, wow.
Man, so Denver was interesting in itself. So didn't play my first year because I had a broke foot. And so then I buy a house at the end of training camp my second year. And then 4 weeks later, they fired me. And I was like, well, nice. Yeah. Okay. So, and I was actually at the time, I was telling my parents I was contemplating on not playing football, being done with football. And the reason being when I collided with Kevin Everett in Buffalo and he ended up being paralyzed, that mentally just had me all messed up. And so, I told my parents, I was like, hey, I think I'm just done. And, I'm just going to walk away. And then my dad said something to me that I didn't want to hear, but I needed to hear. And, he was like, God had a plan for you this whole time. And, how can you walk out on him, just give up on him? He hasn't given up on you.
Wow.
And so I remember that night, I was just like, wow. So I was like, you know what? Well, let's see what happens. And so the next day when my agent calls me, Eric Metz, when he calls me up, was like, hey, the Giants want you. And I'm like, what? I'm saying? I, didn't think about New York, didn't think about even being on the East Coast. And the relation that it was is Coach Thomas McGahee, special teams coach. He was out in Denver while I was out there my first year. Had an opportunity to get to know him while I was rehabbing and doing all that good stuff. And so, he was telling me this story later on, and he had went up to Gettleman's office and was like, hey, they just cut this guy. I think we could really use him. And he said, I stood on the table for you and, and did everything I could to get you here.
Man.
And so I go to the airport and I tell the guy, give him my ID. And he's like, yep, got you going to Newark, New Jersey. And I'm like, no.
Confusing.
Yeah. And he's like, no,
wait a minute.
Newark.
No, that's
he's
not
like,
the right
Newark.
place.
And I'm like, no. I'm like, I'm going to New York. I said, I'm going to play for the Giants. And he was like, you do realize they're in New Jersey, right? And I'm like, no, I don't.
Didn't know that.
Man, got my ticket, took the red eye out to New York and or New Jersey. Landed there at about 4 or 5 in the morning. Went straight to the facility, and I remember taking the car to the facility and just taking that ride from the airport down to Meadowlands, and just remember looking out the window, and I'm just like, oh boy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, what
because you can see the skyline, right? As you're driving, you can see the skylines right there.
Oh yeah, even
on
flying in, and I'm like, hey, here goes the Big Apple. Let's see what happens.
Little did you know what it would turn into with the Giants, right?
Well,
and that's what, absolutely.
I just love you sharing the story because, look, you're doing us a favor. You're hanging out with us. I wanted to be respectful. I didn't even bring up the Denver thing because I didn't know how delicate it was, and I'm sure that was really hard on you, man. And you sound like you and your dad got a tight relationship.
Big props to Mr. Hixon, man. He kept you in the game.
But if you think about it, that's a solid relationship between dad and son, saying the right thing at the right time, because that's got to be hard. Not a lot of us get to live through something like that. So, props to Mr. Hixon there, no doubt.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's definitely you get there and you're like, wow, right? And that's like a whole nother ball game, because it's and on top of that, Jeff, is that not the best era of wide receivers the Giants have had in one receiving room? Ridiculous
group of guys. I mean, with completely different skill sets, but it seemed like personality wise, you guys were tight, and you guys, I mean, you all brought something completely different to the table, and that was the coolest part.
Yeah.
Whoever had the ball was going to do something cool, and it didn't matter who it was.
Like, what's that receiving room like? I mean, you're talking about Plaxico, you're talking about Toomer, you're talking about Cruz, you're talking about Hakeem Nicks. I mean,
Steve Smith.
I mean, that room's insane. Like what? Like, what's that like? I mean, are those guys like? Are you still friendly with those guys? Do you talk to them? Like, I'm assuming receivers are probably all tight and stayed, close. But what's that like?
Yeah.
Like you said, you went from Denver as a 4th round pick. Next thing you know, a couple weeks later in New York, and bang, you're in these really dynamic receiving room. What's that like?
Yeah, I mean, got to meet, Plexico and Amani, and Sonoris was there at the time.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it was just, meeting all these guys that, and you grew up watching, you heard of, and now, you're face to face with them. And, even Strahan, I remember talking to him the first time, and, him welcome me to the team. And I'm like, yo, this is Michael Strahan. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you? And, but, the thing is, the dynamic of not only the receiver room, but the whole locker room was a family atmosphere. Where in Denver, you had a lot of guys, but it was more, cliquish. It was, they hung out with, so-and-so and didn't talk to so-and-so. But like I said, in New York, it did feel like a family. And I think, like I said, I think that was the key to a lot of success, because it was, friends being off the field as well, instead of just working together.
That stuff matters. I like it.
Yeah. And you have you have like this really unique background where you're like, well, every time Plaxico makes a mistake and it has a hiccup, Jeff, who do they put in the game? It's
87.
Like, well, yeah. So Spiro, is it next man up? It's next man up, right?
Dude, I mean, you were more than next man up. Every time there's like big catch needed, you came through. It's just like it was awesome. And I mean, I wanted to ask you one thing though. Sidebar.
Yeah.
What's more fun, a punt return touchdown or a kick return touchdown? Because you got both under your belt. Tell me what's more fun.
Man, as long as it's against the Cowboys, Eagles, Redskins.
Dude,
hey, that's the right answer.
So I think a punt return.
That punt return against the Cowboys is wild.
Huge.
Yeah, that was a good time. A punt return is one of those deals where, defense makes a big stop, you get the momentum. And then kick return is one of those deals where, the defense just gave up a touchdown,
right,
but, swing the momentum back. So, man, I think it's a 50-50 deal.
You're a hero either way, right?
What's harder?
That's a great question. I like punt return more, as crazy as that sounds.
Yes. That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah, I mean, because it was fun. I mean, but you had guys, the other 10 guys on the field, they cared, man. And that was what was fun about it, that we had goals set. I mean, I think, over my career, we did well over 10 yards a punt return.
Yeah.
And, a lot of that credit goes to those guys, because without them, there's no me type deal. And they enjoyed it, and like I said, it was a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
Awesome.
Man, listen, I wrote this down in the notes because I was looking at like, all right, so every time you had a big game receiving, Spiro, it's normally because, listen, we all love Plax, man. And he's the real deal. In fact, I'm in between like the beach and Philadelphia, right? So for years, I worked for CBS Sports in Philadelphia. And I got really friendly with a defensive back for the Eagles named Sheldon Brown. And and Sheldon and I, we kind of got friendly over a couple of years. And I asked to ask him all the time. I'm like, come on, man. Because he was like, on the front of Sports Illustrated for knocking Reggie Bush out. And his best friend was Lito Shepherd. Like they came as a package. You know? And Sheldon, I used to ask him all the time. I'm like, come on, truthfully, who's the hardest receiver you ever covered? He's like, I don't need to think about it. Plaxico Burress. Yeah. I'm like, really? He's
big
like,
dude.
He's like, he's so tall. He's got such long, wide wingspan that, he could catch a ball wherever they throw it. And then trying to tackle him, like he just steps out of tackles and he's deceivingly fast.
Yeah.
So, I love Plax, but I look at your stat line and every time you just had a monster game, it was like Plaxico was kind of on the bench because he was in Coughlin's doghouse.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, I remember one of the reporters asking me, you know, shouldn't you play more? You know, shouldn't, you know, you had this game and you did this. And, you know, it was after the Arizona Cardinals game when Plex had pulled his hamstring. And, you know, and I looked and I just smiled. And I'm like, that's not my decision. You know, it's one of those deals where I wasn't there to ruffle any feathers to do. I mean, I think anybody that plays receiver in the NFL, yeah, you think you should get the ball more. Yeah, you think you should be a starter. But at the same time, you know, it's about winning games and winning championships, you know. And so it's one of those deals where, you know, going in there and answering those questions, I just kept my mouth shut and moved forward. And, you know, if they needed me, great. If they didn't, you know, that's fine too. And, you know, it wasn't bad. You're playing a kid's game and getting paid for it. So
I hear you, man.
Getting paid well. But you were also with the Giants for the golden years, right?
Yes.
Like, and a lot of the guys we talked to, like Tynes and Tollefson, like they were there. They got there at the right time, right place, right time, and rode the wave. The Giants were among the best in the league during that time. Just a healthy, well-balanced team. So it's kind of easy to have a good time and put the team first when everyone's doing well, right? Like you're just like, I'm part of this. Why would I want to go anywhere else, kind of thing.
All right, so here's the dark side. Here's the dark side.
Why you gotta do that? Why you gotta do that, Craig?
Because here's the thing. So, I mean, I've had a ton of injuries playing a lot of ball, not on his level, but I really got to know, like, listen, 3 ACL injuries is like, I mean, listen,
Heart, man.
You must have some good kindred spirits, family support, whatever it is, because that's got to be a lonely, dark place. Listen, I'm a season ticket holder. Like I was at the Ram game. You make that unbelievable, crazy bobble catch. I knew when you put that leg down, like the opposite leg, I was like, oh, that didn't. I don't know. Maybe it didn't look quite right. But here's the thing. You just keep coming back. How do you got 2 ACL injuries with the Giants and one, I think, with Chicago, right?
Finishing up, yeah. Yep.
How do you get through something like that, man? Like Saquon's going through it right now.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's it's a kind of a little bit of a lonely road. How do you get through something like that?
You know, faith, you know, it's one of those deals of people that you have surround you and supporting you. But something that a lot of Giants fans probably don't know either. So when I tore my knee the first time on that fluke turf, and so I was rehabbing, doing all that good stuff. And during that time, I found out that my mom had breast cancer again. Oh, jeez. And so I remember I was rehabbing, got the phone call. I'm obviously devastated. And so that's why I did a lot of my physical therapy back in Ohio. And I know, you know, people didn't see me around the facility. And so when I come back and get an opportunity, my mom loved to she loved the Giants. She loved the football games. And so my motivation was to come back, not only make the team, but have a role and, you know, successful role in the team. And so they went to the Redskins game, or my mom and dad did. And then when they came to the Rams game, I told them, I said, hey, listen, you know, they're going to give me a chance at third wide receiver. I was like, we got this play in. I said, we're going to double move to safety, you know. And so my mom was actually looking for that play the whole time. And so when it ended up happening, I heard it tear again. It's the most eerie feeling, like almost like before a car crash. Jeez. Everything goes silent. You can't hear anything. And it sounds like a Dorito crunch bag. Oh. And so so it ends up happening again. And, you know, and I just kind of sat there, you know, and for me, I was thinking like, oh, well, what's next? You know, am I going to get another opportunity? And so, and I told him, I said, well, hey, you know, I want to do my rehab back in Ohio. And so my mom's going to chemo and I'm doing my rehab back in Ohio to spend time with her. And, you know, we're watching the games and stuff and got to get real close. And so I feel like for me going through ACL 1, 2, or 3 times, I mean, you got people out there battling for their lives, you know, and so it's one of those deals where, you know, it happens. But absolutely, Spiro. I mean, keep it in perspective and just understand that, you know, if you do get another opportunity, take advantage. And so I prayed about it and I said, God, I'm gonna need your help. I said, it happened twice, and I've done all I can do, and and I enjoy the game so much. And so during that Super Bowl run, having to watch the guys and cheer them on from the sideline, it was tough. It was tough, and but then. So when they end up making it to the Super Bowl, and I'm driving out from Ohio to go to Indianapolis, and my mom and dad are meeting me out there, and it was just great to spend that time with her, and like I said, just see her happy and smiling. And of course, she wanted me to be on the field, but nonetheless, it was a good time.
Awesome, man.
Yeah, hey. That's awesome. Because I was like, I don't know, I cannot. I mean, I'm sure I could do the research. I don't know anybody. You know what, Jeff? We should look into it. Don't know anybody that's come back from 3 ACL injuries. I don't even know.
Perseverance, man.
Thomas Davis.
Yeah, there it is.
Carolina. Me and him were talking about ACL, and we had a lot of comments. But I think he's – yeah. And let me just real quick, too. So when I was in Chicago and I toured again, they had asked me, they were like, hey, if you want to come back and do rehab and stuff. And I had made the decision. I had so my son Lorenzo at the time, he was about 4 months. And I said, you know what, man? I said, I appreciate the offer, but I want to spend time with him. And so God always having a plan. I was at home. And so my mom, she was battling cancer now for the 3rd time. And so I got to spend from that June till that following December when she passed, I got to spend a ton of time with her. And so if I wouldn't have torn my ACL and been playing football, I'd have missed out on all that. And so, again, it was one of those things that happened, but keep it in perspective. And I got to spend, 16 months with my mom, and, priceless.
Price is right.
Yeah, when you think about it, I mean, like, kind of worked out okay.
Yeah.
It did. It did.
It's the kind of thing, looking back, you're glad it worked out the way it did, because you healed each other the first time when you recording or repairing it and going home, and that's time that you wouldn't trade for the world. So, and you got 2 Super Bowl rings, so it worked out football wise.
That's right.
You're doing okay.
I mean, 7-year NFL career too, man. That's well beyond the average, man. Yeah. So like you did pretty damn well.
Yeah,
I'll take it.
And it was fun to watch you too, man, because like. The Giants haven't had many dynamic kick returners over the years.
I was going to bring that up when I'm thinking about that. Like, and I was born in '83, so I'm only a little bit older than Dom. But thinking about kick returners the Giants have had, I think of David Meggett as a really dangerous guy the Giants had, and then I think of Hixon, and like as the guys like, yes, that guy's a threat every time he gets the ball in his hand. Like we had a flash in the pan, like Dwayne Harris a little bit.
No, there was Dixon. Too Ron,
Dixon,
Ron, he wasn't bad at all, but not with the body of work of like Domenik or Meggett. Like they were a threat every time they touched the ball. Every time it was cool.
I miss having that guy that you're like, watch this. Like he's good. Yeah.
That's what I got one left in me.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. He's got Coach Rich baseball spirit. Don't get in his head.
True. My bad. You got it.
All right. So how about giving me a little bit of insight on what it's like playing for Coughlin?
So my dad being, 21 years in the Army type deal, and it felt
Germany,
like
Germany,
right?
Yeah, I saw that in the research that you had. One of your parents were from Germany.
Yeah. So mom was born there, dad was over there, so I was over there about 12. But so the military feel, I feel like that's what Coughlin, what he embodied. The whole discipline aspect, kind of the old school mentality. And it sounds crazy, but you're at work, so you work. And, and that's what he expected of us. And that's what got us winning ball games. I mean, you can't deny what he did. And I think, him leaving there, leaving the Giants, I feel a few different reasons of why it happened. But his old school approach, it worked. You know what I'm saying? You can't deny that. And so being 5 minutes. It hasn't
worked since either, son.
Yeah. And I mean, being 5 minutes early to meetings, that type of stuff. I mean, again, that's stuff that I enjoy.
That's real world stuff. You were 5 minutes early to this session.
Yeah, I was like,
yeah,
what a
see what I'm saying? I mean, it carries over.
Yeah,
it carries
awesome,
over.
Man.
So, but yeah, he just, and Coach Coughlin is as stern as he was, or as as tough as his exterior was. I mean, I feel like he had a big heart. You know, even with with his foundation and everything. And yeah, I mean, it's one of those deals where just as hard as he was on you, you know what I'm saying, he'd tell you did a great job too. So yeah, he reminded me of like my grandpa. So
well,
apparently you got there when he softened up a little bit.
I've heard.
If we ever interview Tom Coughlin, let's not tell him that Domenik said he reminds him of his grandfather. Let's not go there. All right, so tell me, what do you think about? All right, so we got Joe Judge, got a new coach. We've got, receivers better than anybody, and you played with a guy like Plaxico. They signed Kenny Golladay. There's some talk like he's not Plax, but he's got some Plaxico type of tendencies.
Yeah.
Like, what's your thought on the state of the team? Like, do you watch, or are you totally tuned out now because you got a million other things going on? Like, do you actually, do you tune in?
No, I tune in. Yeah, me and my son, we sit there, and my wife, she's a Bears fan. I don't know how that happened, but
not even possible.
But yeah, I mean, I tune in and watch, and and I listen to a lot of little different things that fans are saying. And one of the things was with Gettleman and well, he's not doing this and he's not doing that, and it's one of those deals. You just gotta have a little bit of patience. And what he did in Carolina. I mean, I think, that's a lot to be said too. When I went down there, I mean, he drafted some guys and put some things in place to be able to make those few runs. Even when they went to the Super Bowl, he wasn't there as a GM, but that was a lot of his guys still there. So I think he's doing the same thing here. It's taking a little bit of time. You got to move some money around, do some different things. But now you have a receiver core that, I mean, they're pretty elite. I mean, you got, 4 guys that can really go and that have been proven. And so now, you got the guys up front that are, they're solidifying themselves. And I mean, I'm excited. Last year, I was on a podcast and I said that the Giants would make the playoffs. And people, you're crazy. You're crazy.
It went too far off.
Yeah. And I mean,
actually,
because once you make it to the playoff dance, anything can happen.
It's
true.
So like I said,
and Spiro, right? They lost 3 games by a total of 6 points. It wasn't like they were far off.
Right.
Yeah, it was right there all year long.
And that's with new coaches, new systems, no off season, all that. So like this year, I'm putting my money on the Giants to win this division this year.
Push all the chips to the middle table.
Doubt.
By the way, I gotta say this for when we fire this up tomorrow. If you're watching us right now, it's another episode of the Giants Guys. And if you're asking where Spiro is, because before the show we actually talked about, so Spiro's in a hotel room in Florida. That is not Spiro's house.
A condo.
Okay.
It's a condo.
Don't call me. I'm in a condo.
Spiro is.
See the nice little things I got going on back here?
Spiro, just in case you're looking and you're like, all right, it's Domeniks, there's Craig, there's Jeff, and you're like, where's Spiro? I just need to get up because I keep looking at that like artwork behind you. I'm like,
fancy.
Yeah, you might want to take that down.
It ain't my room. I don't deal with this.
Yeah, you just have to pay the bill.
One last question about an addition of a big guy like Golladay to a young quarterback. Like having that safety blanket. Like how big is that? Like it helps, right?
Absolutely. I got to see it. With Eli and Plex, and then even Hakeem Nicks and Cruz.
Right.
Steve Smith down in Carolina, Greg Olson. And it's always one of those deals where, when in doubt, where can you go?
Right.
And so, whether it's going to be an incomplete pass or it's going to be one heck of a play.
Right.
And so I think that's huge. And like I said, I mean, you got him, and then you still got Shepard, John Ross. They added Darius Slayton. Like I said, you got 4 guys that, like I said, I mean, you're not lacking. And you still got your tight ends too. So again, it's one of those deals where you got your safety blanket. That, and even I think he's going to demand a double team a lot.
Yeah.
So now you got
we talking Golladay or we talking?
Golladay. Yeah. I'm talking about Golladay. And so then, if he demands a double team, then you got Shepard. He's going to have one-on-one coverage. And then, you got John Ross, who I'm curious to see what he's going to end up doing.
Got some burners, man.
Yeah, I mean, and that's, speed kills, can't teach speed. And then, we saw what Darius Slayton did last year, and he's going to have one-on-one coverage. So, you start to get them matchups and stretching the ball, and then a healthy Saquon Barkley coming back. I mean, like I said, it's one of those deals flying under the radar. But like I said, I think it's going to end up being a good season.
I think that, man.
Definitely. Jeff and I and Spiro and I've got a bunch of guys that write for me, and we rotate them in. We got another two guys that we pop in and out. We're all pro Gettleman. Like everybody's kind of hard on him because he's got the accent and he does the stand-up comedy on the microphone. But listen, what people always forget about Dave is the story you told 15 minutes ago. Is he brought in guys like Antrell Roll. He brought in guys like you and Platt. Like he brought these guys in, and people don't remember that he was, I don't know, I guess the title would be VP of player personnel. I mean, but people give him no credit for that. Like you can't ignore the fact that 2017 Kavika Mitchell, he brought these cats in. You know, so like people tend to, and Jeff, how many times have we heard people be like, oh, he's terrible. He's absolutely terrible. And they forget all the work he's done in the past.
I don't know if it's the younger generation or what, but you got to let it build. We say it all the time. He was dealt such a bad hand when he came to the Giants. It was a full tear down rebuild, right? When you're talking a new quarterback, the line is all the big contracts are thrown out. Like that's a true start over point right there. So you can't win in a year or two when you're dealt that in the NFL. The teams are too good at the top. So it takes time, but I think he's had 3 years. This is the fourth year. Seems like he was like, okay, we're ready to win. They went
now
big,
it's time.
Went big in free agency. It's like rebuild's over. It's time to compete. And that's what I like to see. So with the draft to go, I'm excited for this year. I think what Joe Judge brings, and now you have talent, both sides of the ball. It's time to take that next step. You got to go over 500, start winning games, start competing.
All right, let's keep talking receivers. Waddle, Chase, Pitts. There's some guys that are in reach for the Giants. Everybody who I've been watching that has played the game all said, you always go for the big guys first. So as a former wide receiver, do you want to look out for your crew and have the Giants draft a Waddle or a Pitts, or do you prefer to make sure your quarterback's protected and you go on O-line? What's Domenik Hixon's feel here?
So I actually had an opportunity to train some receivers at Exos down here, the performance. And so Waddle was one of those receivers after national championship game.
So we just got an exclusive right there. That's awesome.
Yeah. And so I got to see him up close and personal. Got to talk to him, pick his brain a little bit. And I mean, I think he would be a tremendous pick if the Giants picked him. I think it would work out well. But with that being said, I mean, again, you have 4 receivers right now already. And so I don't know what the long-term goal would be, if you bring another guy in. So now you have 5 receivers that, in the first rounder, he's going to play. So that kind of moves somebody out. And so, I don't know all the numbers and all that good stuff, but it starts up front. If you can't protect them, if you can't, if DJ's back there running for his life, then it doesn't matter who you have at receiver.
You saw that firsthand, man. You saw that into the offensive line for the Giants, man. That made things run.
That was man. That's one of the best lines they ever had with Deal and we've had Rich, we've had Soybert on a couple months ago, and let me tell you, that
good people
was funny. Yeah.
Funny.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
he called us. And Jeff, was he in like a hunting cabin?
It certainly looked like it. Right. I know he likes to hunt. It was dark. He's in a lounge chair with a weird lamp right here.
It was funny. He's like, Craig, he's like, do you mind? I'm hanging out with my son. We're gonna go hunting. Can I call you when I'm up there? I'm like, hey man, sure, cool. We're just looking to make cool content. I'm sure.
Yeah.
He's literally like, all right, my son's cleaning the guns, and let's talk some Giants football. And he told us this. I'm sure you're familiar with this story to some degree. He told us how him and Snee used to puke before the game.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with that?
Yeah, I remember
some
the first game. Yeah, the first game I ever played in a Giants uniform, I was like, is he gonna make it? Like, we haven't even started yet. I mean, what's going on here? Yeah, yeah,
great.
That's really funny.
Like, coach, both our starting guards are puking their brains out.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was funny, but yes, Spiro, you're right. You know, those were some of the best lines the Giants ever had.
They got to beef it up again, man. That makes the whole offense run.
It's so tempting when you look at the Alabama wide receivers, like how talented they are.
Yeah.
What you do.
Oh yeah.
You lock one of them up with Golladay, opposite sides for the next 3 or 4 years. You start to dream about how great that offense would be. But Daniel Jones needs to be protected. Like, you know, like he got strip sacked how many times? He's running for his life. Give him time. Well, otherwise, it doesn't matter. Dom said it. That's what we've been saying. Build the line. Let Danny dime.
No, actually, that's your quote.
I didn't write it. I didn't write it.
That sounds good.
But I like it. I like it though. I'm sticking with it.
So you put 2 rings in the case. You I guess your wife's a Bears fan, which we said we don't understand that. But
nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm not that I hate not that I have anything against the Bears, but I'm thinking like, okay, so the last place you're in is Chicago. How do you get from Chicago to Florida?
So my dad, he grew up a little west of Pensacola, Florida, in the Panhandle, in a place called Cantonment. And believe it or not, Fred Robbins, Super Bowl winner with the Giants.
Oh yeah.
Just so you know, just before you go any further, just want you to know that Fred owes us an interview. He missed like 2. And all kidding aside, I think his grandmother passed away.
Okay. Yeah.
He was supposed to come on like probably like Jeff, was it like February?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. He just seems like a really, really cool dude. And he's like, Greg, come on, we'll have some fun. And then I think his grandmother passed away. So when you see him, tell him we were asking for him.
I will. And so, but our families knew each other before we even, played football together. But anyway, so Dad grew up in Cantonment, family and everybody's out there. And so when I saw things kind of coming to an end when I was in Carolina, I said, you know what? I said, I think I want to move down there. Like the fishing, like the hunting in Alabama. So it's a perfect setup for me.
Nice.
So then you go down to Florida, you bring the kids, bring the wife to go down there. Like, did you have an idea what you were going to do? I mean, like, you've got okay. All right.
No.
All right. Because I'm like, it looks like you're having a ton of fun. It looks like, you got a really nice business crushing it. And I'm like, here's a guy from Ohio and he's deep sea. He's deep sea. How did that happen? Like, what? How does that even come? Like, is Fred involved with the fishing too?
No. So I've been trying to get Fred on the boat for now. This will be our 6th year, but past 5 years. And so literally, I'm going. And 2 things will happen. 1, something will come up for him, or 2, the weather will be bad. So just most recently, the weather ended up being bad again. I'm just like, you're getting saved here. But but his nonprofit, Mr. Robbins Neighborhood, our charter company, we just donated 2 trips to his nonprofit. But I told him, I said, the only way that happens if you're gone. So he's committed. So sometime throughout this year, I'm gonna take pictures. We're gonna post it online and stuff. And yeah, so he's gonna be on the boat sometime soon.
I dig it.
All right. So when you get to Florida, though, how do you fall into like fishing? Like, you have a really cool niche that you've kind of dug out for yourself. Like, how does that happen?
And so I was into boats in general. I had bought 2008. I had bought my first boat. So, just had the boating experience. So when I moved down here, sold that one, got a center console to be able to fish. And so my uncle, he had took, along with my dad, he had took us fishing when I was 12 off one of the bridges out here. And we caught all type of fish. And so when I got down here, I was like, I want to fish. So went out, started fishing. And then I met Captain John down at in Isla Mirada in the Keys. And so met him, booked a charter with him. me and him become really good friends, and he took me out fishing. And I was like, yo, like, tell me more about this charter fishing. And so he was like, well, you know, people pay you to take them out fishing.
You're like, light bulb.
Ding.
Yeah, I'm like, this sounds like a great idea. And so just kind of progressed from there. When I got my captain's license, been through, you know, a few different boats and stuff and kind of see what's working for us. But now we're to the point where we have, you know, customers every year. They come down and, you know, we take them out fishing and we have a really good time. It's a lot of fun. Now, I will say fishing. So we have our snapper season starting June 1st and it goes to August 1st this year. And so you have a lot of charter guys. They'll fish out of those 60 days. They'll fish 50, 55 days. I'm not about that life.
Okay.
I mean, it's too many ACLs, too much, too many screw. But and so kudos to them for doing it. But it's fun. It's a lot of competition too. We fish tournaments.
Nice.
So that's a whole nother ball game.
Really? So tournaments like against like other charter groups and stuff like that. Like, how's it work?
So if you can imagine, you got these, and so the guy who I fish with is called the Panhandler. Tim O'Brien's the owner, great guy. And so we do these 2-day marlin and tuna trips, and you're competing against everyone from the Panhandle. So you got boats from Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, South Florida, and and they literally do these tournaments that'll start here in May. And they'll go throughout the summer, but they'll just travel tournament to tournament. And, like the Mississippi Billfish, the winner, I believe the purse is over $1 million.
Wow. I didn't know that kind of game.
Well, now, and so that sounds like great money, but the boats that are in there, I mean, you're spending, a lot of those guys are spending 40, 50,000 a weekend with entry fee, fuel, and plus they got, a $2 million boat. So
fair.
Do they like shrink wrap the boats and drive them down, or are they actually in the water and they actually drive them down, or do they
they're all in the Panhandle,
on trucks?
Oh, so they're all in the Panhandle. So it's like a tournament circuit that just happens in, like, one weekend will be in Destin, another one will be in Pensacola, another one be in Mobile. And so they just kind of, hop from spot to spot and, just fish these tournaments and, try to get the big one.
Jeff,
that's a fun life, man.
You only have to win one. No, I'm jealous. Like, you have a career in the NFL, then it's like, I'm going to go to Florida and just
like Tom
figure
Hanks.
it out. Like, I don't really need a plan because I'm a young rich guy and I could just go fish and figure it out.
It's awesome, man.
Well, now, and some more insight on all that. When I first came to Pensacola, I started investing in real estate, and so started buying rental houses.
So you're smart too. Come on, man.
Yeah, I know.
Track star, smart. I mean, football player. What else?
Four-time Letterman. Only MAC championship.
Give us a chance, man.
His resume is so much better than mine.
But then, so we did the investing deal, did the charter fishing, got my real estate license, and but now we have a land management business, and so that's been a lot of fun. So my granddad,
sure I know what that is. What is that?
So my grandfather was a logger. And so he used to clear cut timber. And so my dad and uncle and everybody, we know how to cut trees and do all that fun stuff. And so we have turned it into
Hixon is the most interesting man in the world.
I'm like, okay. In a minute, he's gonna say,
he's just pulling things out of the hat.
I'm a chef on a cable show.
And then I knit
for
my family on the weekend.
Because Jeff, you got to go to his website or go on YouTube. There's some really cool videos of him on the water with his clients and stuff like that. And he says, we catch the freshest fish there is, and we make sushi right on the boat. I'm like, this dude is making sushi on the boat too. I'm like, what can't this guy do?
No, it does everything.
sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead. So
you're good. You're good.
Logging, clearing land. So what's the management company? Because I'm still like I'm thinking, can I do this? Like what's entailed here?
So Apex Land Management. And so, but it was one of those deals where it kind of fell into it because the rental property that my wife and we have invested in, that it all needed tree work. And so, you call these tree companies, you start getting quotes. And I told her, I said, well, gosh, I was like, I know how to do it. It's just a matter of trying to get it done. And so my uncle, he's taught me a lot about the business and everything. And so we just kind of, like I said, just fell into it. There wasn't a time that we weren't working that someone was like, hey, would you come, take a look at a tree, or, how much would you charge to grind a stump, or, something like that. And, I told my wife, I was like, the writing's on the wall. Let's see if we could do it.
Awesome.
So we've been slow rolling it, but yeah, it's been entertaining, if anything. So
how'd you get the name of the boat? That come to you right away, or did you have to think about it? Super Bowl fishing's pretty cool.
Yeah, man, we were out and about, and so I think naming the boat is one of the funnest things because everything else costs money. And so, so I was sitting there. I'm like, Super Bowl fishing. I'm like, I think it has a little ring to it. And so, the boat that I had at the time was a 31 Cape Horn, and we put this big Super Bowl fishing on the side of it. And so, and with the Super Bowl rings, and so people used to get on the radio, and they're like, tell me the story behind this. So, you conversation starter, and, just something different,
Yeah, I saw the video. Like I said, I was watching, and the people were like, what's the Super Bowl fish? And you, Mr. Humble, are like, I won a couple Super Bowls. Because he's such a nice guy, right? People are like, what's this Super Bowl thing? He's like, I won a couple Super Bowls. And they're like, really?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, with the Giants. I'm like, it's just a cool story. Cause and then I saw you've got a couple boats, or you had a couple different boats with the name on the bet. I'm assuming, that's definitely a topic of conversation.
Yeah, it is. And then even, so some of the other tournaments we do, are, bottom fishing tournaments. And so we take my wife and kids out there, and there's something more that's, just a day deal. But we all got our Super Bowl fishing shirts on and hats and stuff. And it's just, like I said, people they find it entertaining. They do. Oh, come here. Can you say hi?
Oh,
I knew she was going to be.
Awesome.
You can say hi.
Hi.
That's the
best. That's awesome.
She loves being on the boat.
It's great.
You're gonna outfish Daddy soon.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah.
But, that's awesome. She's so cute. How old is she?
A year and a half.
Man, awesome. You're in the early stages.
That's the best.
Yeah,
mine just turned 17.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. So you were bringing it up before. You were talking about the Big Ten. My daughter accepted a scholarship to play field hockey in the Big Ten.
Oh, congratulations!
Yeah.
What school?
Michigan State.
Okay. Yeah.
So she's gonna be a Spartan up there in the cold snow.
Man, I tell you, yeah.
You don't miss that, I'm sure.
No, but now we do hunt in Ohio. We try to hunt every year. And so this year it snowed like no tomorrow, which was fun.
Right.
So you still have family back in Ohio?
Yeah. So my in-laws, they stay up near Cleveland, and so we go up there and visit them. And my dad, he's moved down here to Florida. So yeah, like I said, I like Ohio. We used to do a charity football camp in my high school every year, and give back to them. But Ohio's great. Like I said, it's definitely a football state.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. You guys got questions for Mr. Hixon?
Which ring do you like better, 2007 or 2011?
Just off looks or off a story?
Story.
Oh, probably, 07.
Yeah. All right, what about looks? What about looks?
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with 11. I like the blue in it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I can't even imagine. Like, you get to wear them?
Yeah, so I have to borrow them from my dad. The first one I gave to my dad, and the second one I gave to my mom. And so I just let him hold on to him. And, if we do a charity event or something, I'll tell him, hey, can I borrow him? And, he'll give them to me. But
she's like, what are these guys talking about?
Yeah. She's like, he got his headphones in, huh? You got headphones?
Yeah.
Whatever you say, Dad.
Yeah, exactly. She's like, I'm just hanging out with Dad. That's awesome. Jeff, I know you got something.
I got a football question for Dom. Confidence level in Daniel Jones, because he's a quiet dude. He's he reminds a lot of people of Eli for a few different reasons. He's quiet. He's kind of just leads by example. He's struggled, but again, it's because of the rebuild, the bad O-line. Like nobody you saw Pat Mahomes in the Super Bowl. He didn't look good behind a bad O-line.
Running for his life.
Doubt.
So Daniel Jones definitely isn't going to look good behind a bad O-line. So where are you at with your confidence in him moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, I like everything that I know about the young man. And the thing is, he's a lot faster than Eli.
Is anybody faster than Eli?
And so, I mean, it's one of those deals where he's athletic. He's a dual threat, in my opinion. He can still, like you said, throw dimes. And, it just comes down to decision making. Yeah. I say if he makes the right decisions and again, it's going to take time because the different exotic looks that, the defenses and stuff do nowadays, it's going to take time. You're going to get tricked. And the thing is establishing the running game. I think maybe we can all agree, maybe not, but when Eli was most dominant is when we had the dominant running game. And we were doing the play action pass.
Two-headed monster.
Yeah. Jacobs, you had Bradshaw, you had Ward. I mean, you guys could pound the rock.
I mean, Bradshaw, underrated pass protector too. You do some play action. Bradshaw would stand up linebackers regularly. The guy was a great blocker and really underrated. So if Barkley, if Saquon can get going, then that's going to open up everything. And I'm with you.
Absolutely. Man. Yeah. So like I said, I got all the confidence in the world in him. I wouldn't, and I'm not going to jump ship. Like I said, I think he's going to be tremendous. And, it's one of those deals where, hey, he just got to do it. And like I said, decision making. Like I said, just take that sack sometimes. Don't. But then again, he'll have a receiver. You can throw it up to
safety
give
blanket,
him the 50-50. Right. So, like I said, it's a lot of benefits to it. Like I said, I'm gonna have my Giants gear on. So I'm gonna go to Super Bowl.
This is the last one I got for you. And by the way, completely thanks for hanging out with us.
Thank you.
I hope we can have you
for
back.
Sure, man.
We can have you back on because we're gonna be pushing Super Bowl fishing for a while now.
Appreciate it.
Here's the question, because I want to kind of listen. Like us, me, the guys, we're on Twitter all day long. With guys it's like a second job. You know what I mean? And we're always positive guys, but I want you to at least tell me about how important preseason and camp is, because I've been talking for months and months and months that, yes, I understand everybody's under the same circumstances, but you got a new head coach. You got Jason Garrett hasn't called plays in 10 years. You got a pandemic, no OTAs, no preseason. And the first 4 games of the season are basically your preseason. So listen, you're a professional athlete. You were one of the best returners the Giants have had in their history. You got 2 Super Bowl rings. You know better than anybody. Tell these folks how important, how these guys got gypped out of, good quality time to gel. Because I tell them all day long, I'm like, it's continuity. It's getting to know each other. You know where to be. What the guy next to you is going to do. Tell them, or maybe I'm wrong. Tell me, give me that insight on, preseason and OTAs, how important they are.
Yeah, I think the more reps you can get, the better. And like you said, it got to the point with the Giants that when Gilbride, when he was calling plays, we knew what he was going to call before it happened type deal. And so having a new system, having new guys, you're going to need those reps. And so not having those reps is one of those deals where I think that the teams that are going to be ahead are the teams that are keeping the same system, that have the same guys, that are doing everything over again. And so it's one of those deals where hopefully defensively the Giants to kind of hang their hat on initially. But yeah, the more reps you get, the better. I know that for preseason, the older I got, the less I liked it. And just being because at that point in time, I mean, again, it's the same offense doing the same thing.
Right.
And, you're just like, hey, let's go ahead and get out there and play. But, yeah, it's going to be tough.
Because the Giants are a super young team. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong. When you've been on a team 3-4 years, you know the drill. Like I said, you know what?
Right.
I don't need these reps. I'm good. But when the entire team is they're the fourth youngest team in the NFL, and the only reason why they're 4 is because they had Golden Tate on the team. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not killing Golden Tate. I'm just saying that.
Yeah, veteran, older guy. Yeah.
Yeah, you take Tate off the team. The Giants are the youngest team in the NFL, and people want to know why they didn't just like hammer it right from day one. I'm like, these guys don't know what they're doing. They didn't have camp or preseason.
Not only that, rookie left tackle, rookie or first time center,
rookie coach.
Everything was new. Not only, and the worst part, you went up against the best defensive fronts in the NFL for the first 7 weeks. So like, it's almost a miracle they won 6 games and
lost Barkley
and Saquon gone. Yeah,
no big deal.
Yeah,
they were uphill. They were battling uphill all year.
No, you're right, Jeff. And like I said, and the thing is, so much. I feel like the first month for a young football team, if it goes well, the first few weeks, I mean, that could just propel you throughout the season. But if it goes bad, then you kind of see what you're made of. And I think last year, we as Giant fans had the opportunity to see that, I mean, the right coach is there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, he had those guys still playing. And again, where you see other teams that, they lose a few games and they're in the tank, and, the teams that go 0-16 or, the Jets that, haven't did anything in forever. But it's one of those deals where, you got the right coach there. I feel like you got the right players and staff. And like I said, it's high expectations.
Yeah.
I think we all have them.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. I can, we all agree that, there's no reason why they can't be, well, there's 17 games now. So there's no reason why they can't be.
Yeah. That's
10 and
10,
that's weird, dude.
10 and 7.
10 and 7 sounds weird, man.
I think you got to get 10 plus wins this year. That'll be the momentum change that this organization needs. Get back.
Well, listen, I know you got some family stuff to do. You don't want to be hanging out with us all day.
Thank you, Don.
You're watching the Giants guy. We're going to carve this up. We're going to post it up tomorrow. And, I'm going down to Outer Banks. I might have to, in July.
Oh, yeah.
I might have to hit you up and come down and see how you're doing.
Man.
Because like I never get to go anywhere with the whole pandemic thing. I was trying to find a vacation. So I just said, you know what? I'll rent a house in the Outer Banks, grab a Suburban, and drive down.
Yeah. So now, are you fishing in the Outer Banks?
I was gonna, but I knew that as soon as you said you were coming on, I figured I'd have to call you for some advice.
I'm telling. And so we've been blessed, man. We fished like in the Bahamas, over in Cuba, Ocean City, Maryland, the Keys, and the Outer Banks is one of my bucket list places to fish. So
there you go.
Yeah.
Get that fishing rod ready, Craig.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, for what it's worth, man, I got plenty of bedrooms, dude. Just bring the boat. Man, I'm gonna be there in July. If your boat happens to pull up, let's go. Let's go. Man, I'm in.
And we're doing so June and July is usually our busy season, but I just got a phone call today about they're doing a show called Life After Football. And long story short, got a little details and stuff, but hopefully we can work things out to be on that show with our charter fishing and doing different stuff. So
see people right there. You want to know why you listen to the Giants guy?
Big lights.
This is why you listen to the Giants guy, because we found out from Soybert that they puke before games. we found out from Tolleverson that he didn't get credit for sacking Brady in the Super Bowl, but he punched him in the balls. Right? I mean, listen, Dave had us cracking up because he's like, do the research, see me sacking Brady. He's like, I'm punching him in the balls. And he goes, what am I going to do? Tell them that Justin Tuck didn't get that sack and it was mine. He's like, I just won a Super Bowl.
That's
right? And then Tynes Oh man, he's funny too. He told us a bunch of crazy stuff.
LT, yeah, and he's been fishing with us too, man. Him and the family, and
awesome.
yeah, he's a local guy here, Milton High School, and that's another thing. Graham Gano, can we just sign him to a lifelong contract?
Oh my God, I love it. I love it.
Is that okay? I mean,
he's
automatic.
Yeah. Like when you get a guy that can do it, like what Jeff says to the Times, he says, you kicked that one hooper, but he goes, that was Shankville population. Why did you run out in the field? He goes, because if I didn't, I was going to get cut. He's like, I ran out.
Saved his career. Well, he's right. Either I go home missing field goals or I give it a shot. So
right.
Go kick it again. It's not going to get worse than it already is. You missed 2 field goals in the fourth quarter.
So you're going to be on a show, Life After Football. That's cool.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. Yep. And like I said, we got to invite the C to make it work. So
can we vote or something? Like, do we get to say we want to see Domenik Hixon? Do we get a vote or something?
I'm going to be writing people, man.
Yeah. From what I was told, they said they're doing 16 different episodes. And like I said, they got some. It sounds like a good lineup. So like I said, hopefully everything works out. But I told them we'll take them out there. Let's go catch some tuna or something.
When are they going to film? That you think in the summer?
So sometime in the summer would be ideal. So we just, like I said,
prime season right there.
I'm just trying to get them up to the Outer Banks. That's all I'm trying to think. I'm just thinking like maybe the network, says, hey, you're on the show. Where do you want to fish? And it just so happens that my vacation's that week. I'm just
spitballing.
Stay with me here. Stay with me.
Yeah. I'm just trying to plot all this out, man. All right, well, listen.
Thank you, Dom.
Thanks for hanging out with us.
Thanks, Dom, man. Appreciate you.
I'm going to definitely call you or I'll hit you up if you don't mind. We'll get you back on before camp starts, without a doubt.
Yeah, give me a shout. And like I said, you guys ever in the Panhandle area, Super Bowl fishing, like I said, we'll put you on.
Awesome, dude.
We're gonna promote Super Bowl fishing. I'm gonna even put it on the website. Just in case you don't know, the site behind the show is nygiantsrush.com. The site's been up there for 8 years. Plenty of content, cool stuff up there. This will be carved up for YouTube tomorrow. My brother-in-law used to live in Pensacola, and he was a helicopter. He is a helicopter pilot. He used to drive to, I think, New Orleans or right outside in Louisiana. And he used to fly engineers to the oil rigs out in the ocean.
Nice. Oh, yeah.
So you got some. So I know those beaches are real nice and white and sandy. They're real nice.
I'm telling you, hidden gem. A hidden gem.
All right, people. Look, you're listening, watching to the Giants guys. That's Domenik Hixon. Absolutely get a chance. Check out Super Bowl fishing. And if you are going on vacation, talk to Captain Hixon. He'll take you out. Thanks for hanging out with us. We are OUT out. Boom.